Hey guys, right, we are back. Today's video, we're working on a Ford Ranger. I don't know if you can see that there. Today, it's just past its MOT. It's a lovely truck, this one. It's real nice. But we just noticed as we're driving it back, it's got a little bit of spongy brakes. She's a good customer of ours, this lady. She's always been brilliant. So what we're going to do, we're going to show you how to hopefully get a little bubble out of the brakes and make them nice and firm. Right, first, what we're going to do, we're going to have a little test and see what they feel like. So, most important thing you can do when testing a car, sit in it and just feel it, right? So you don't get full brakes unless it's running. So we're going to do that first. Here we go. And that just goes down too far. The first bit is spongy. There's nothing there. And it goes, even there, it keeps going down. So what you want to do, what you're listening for, you're watching for, is when you push down and it goes hard, keep your foot at the same pressure on it and see if it, I don't know if you can see my foot's gradually going down there. That is travel on the pedal, and that means it's got a little bit of a bubble in the airline, in the brake line, sorry. So first bit's a bit soggy, and then when you get there, it keeps going down and down, so you've got bare travel on the pedal as well. I'm going to start this thing, self-locks like you would not believe. Never, ever, ever leave the keys in this thing, or one of these, because close the door, it goes click, click, and you are stuck. The way to bleed the brakes, right, the most efficient way is you probably need a little helper, which I've got a grumpy helper over there, look. This is your brake reservoir. Make sure it's topped up before you even start this, and then keep an eye on it. Make sure it's nice and full. You don't want this thing draining out. If this thing drains all the way out while you're obviously draining fluid out, then you get a bubble in the reservoir and maybe even the ABS system, the ABS pump, and that could be an absolute swine to bleed. So first off, make sure this is topped up. Every couple of minutes, just double check this. .4 in it, obviously. The best way to do it is to start with the wheel that is furthest away from the brake master cylinder, which in UK is just behind the driver's, just in front of the driver's steering wheel here. So we're going to be starting with the far passenger side wheel and then working opposites. So I'm going to do that one, that one, that one, and then this one. Where this one will be last, the closest one here. I probably won't show you all that faffing around, so I'll just go and do a bit of it, and then I'll show you one of the wheels to demonstrate the principles. Okay, so I've done the 3 of the wheels. I've got a little bit of bubbles out of them. I'm now on the last wheel here, the one closest to, but I decided, because it's easier, to jack it up first. If you're ever going to jack a car up, there's a bunch of things you have to do first. It's not a suggestion, you have to do this. First one, put a block or something in front and behind the wheel that you're not working on, obviously. So I use a nice block of wood. We're done there. So get her underneath, kick it underneath. That stops it rolling backwards if the handbrake is a little bit dodgy. I go belt and braces, so I do one in front and behind. Fuck. Okay. Next thing you've got to do, you can't rely on a jack. You have to have this thing called an axle stand. Or something a lot like it, right? See, it's heavy duty. It's rated to 3 tons. The jack is only a hydraulic cylinder. If that fails and you're lying underneath it, you are dead. There are no 2 ways about it. So you have to put an extra support under something solid. I've used the front subframe there. So that is not going anywhere. Even if my jack evaporates, that should stay lifted up in the air. Obviously, I hope it doesn't. Just bought that. I like to take the wheel off because it's easier. This thing is a beast. and it's down. Okay, so these are your brakes. You probably know what it is, but I'm going to idiot proof it anyway, right? This thing here is called a brake caliper, and what it does is it's got a piston in there. I'll show you that in a minute. And it squeezes. As soon as you put your foot on that brake pedal, fluid comes flying down this line here into here, causing the piston to push out this way, right? You've got a little brake pad in between there. Obviously, most of you know when it squeals, they go. And this thing grabs hard on this steel disc, which is spinning. It's pretty straightforward. The brake pads have to be made of some stuff that grips steel but doesn't catch fire. So they're usually asbestos. Don't breathe the dust in if you're doing brakes. Be very careful. And yeah, so the other thing is the master cylinder at the top is basically the reverse of one of these. If you've got a pedal here and you push the piston back this way, the fluid's going to want to travel the other way, up the system that way. And that's literally all it is with brakes. See, shine your brake line there. The brake pipe itself runs all the way down here, down there, and into the back of the caliper here. I'm going to describe how to bleed brakes. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. There's a little bleed nipple up here, is what we call it. Pop the little rubber cap off, see? However, I don't advise any amateur to work on their own brakes. If you want to work on something in your engine, I mean, you can't be blamed for trying to save yourself a couple of quid. Say you need to change your battery or your fuel filter or your oil filter, something like that. That's all right. If you mess with your engine and you mess something up and it doesn't start in the morning, you're going to be gutted because you can't get to work. If you mess something up on your brakes, it's going to be potentially the family of 6 you crash into and kill that's going to be gutted. So, like, mess with your engine. Always leave your brakes to a professional, because even if you just forget the little thing, mess it up a little bit, you could be causing somebody's life to be in danger, and it'll probably void your insurance. So don't mess with your brakes unless you really know what you're doing or you're qualified, please. Here's my advice. I once in college saw a lad in a fancy Subaru and they had the wheel off in the car park at lunchtime. Bunch of them gathered round. Oh yeah, cool. Painting his calipers gold. I mean, yeah, it looked well snazzy through the alloy. He didn't stop there. He painted the disc gold as well. And put it all back together, immediately took it for a test drive, went herring up to the first roundabout, put his brakes on, and the paint didn't stop him and he crashed. So he's lucky, he was all right. He was just his pride was a bit damaged more than anything, but don't mess with your own brakes. Get a professional to do it, get someone who's qualified and they know what they're doing. Still, I'm going to show you how to do it so at least you understand the principle. Right, the first step we're going to do is we're going to try and crack open this bleed nipple. By crack open, I mean undo it ever so slightly. But these things, because they've done nothing their entire life except for sit in mud and grime and water, they rust like you wouldn't believe. And there's all that crap caked on there as well. So first thing you can do is give that a healthy clean off and a wire brush. These things love to break as soon as you show them a spanner. And if you do that, you're in for a world of hurt then. You've either got to drill the remaining mess out or buy yourself a whole new caliper, which could be like up to 200 quid. Well, obviously get what you pay for. If you wanted to get a Ferrari, it might become more like $2,000. But so what you can do, clean the living daylights out of this, and then we get a little bit of WD-40 on it, and then we'll start to work it slowly. But yeah, first thing, clean it. Healthy coating of that. And just, when you're doing this, you're not heaving on it like a wheel nut. The way to do this is, imagine how the knocker gun works, lots of little impacts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pulse, just dunk, 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 dunk. Eventually, if I keep pulling like that, it should come loose. The trick is coming loose without snapping the little bugger off. Okay. This is not working. Plan B. Okay. Where are we? Back to. Oh, see? Move that straight away. Yeah, okay. So this point here, you don't really want to just undo it. What you want to do is work the penetrating oil in. So tighten it back up a bit, loosen it off. Fluid. What colour is that? It's pretty horrible, that stuff. Okay, well, we know this is freed up enough now. So I'll pinch it back up and we'll start with the bleeding. Right, so Grumpy, my old man, is an absolute believer of it's old school mentality. Throw nothing away, reuse it if you can, you know. So his idea, he likes to get, for doing brakes now, a piece of pipe here, and he'd run it all the way up and back into the top of the brake reservoir here. So any bubbles that do come out disappear into the top of here as it flows into here. I mean, it's good if you're living in the middle of nowhere and you can't access brake fluid, but thankfully we're a first world country and I've got plenty of that stuff. So the way I like to do it, rather than reusing old brake fluid is hygroscopic. It's one of the things that kills it. Hygroscopic means it absorbs moisture straight out the air. That's why obviously the caps have to be on it and everything. So old brake fluid, it does age and it does deteriorate. But for me, what I've done here, I've just got an old Lucozade bottle, popped in the top there, and put a little bit of plastic pipe over to the bleed nipple. It didn't fit nicely, so I heated the end up with a lighter. Very, very quick, very straightforward, and super, super cheap. Now, we're gonna get this, I'm gonna crack it loose just a little bit, like that, and I'm gonna go and get Grumpy for a little bit of assistance. Oh, it's coming out already. There you go, look at that. So fluid's coming out already. It's going to end up into my little bottle here, and this fact that I've used clear pipe is going to let me see any bubbles that are going to emerge from it. So I'll give Grumpy a shout and I'll get him to give a push on the brake pedal for me. So there's loads of ways of bleeding up your brakes, but the principle is all the blooming same. All you're trying to do is get a bubble out from where it goes into there, down here. I've even seen boys old school use what they call gravity bleeding. Just open the taps and leave it go. Eventually, the bubble will make it down into your bottle here and evict itself. But I've seen people have to leave this for 2 weeks to try and get this to work. The method we use is I'm going to have Grumpy sat on the passenger seat and the driver's seat ready for pressing the brake pedal. I'm going to open this. When he presses the pedal, fluid's going to shoot out of there, and then I'm going to tighten it up quickly so that no fluid's got a chance of being sucked back up into the system when he takes his foot off the pedal. And that's what we're going to do now. Right, back to brakes and how they work. So I've got stripped apart the truck here. There's very little left of it. Makes it easy to show you. This is a brake caliper, like we were talking about earlier, okay? Very, very simple. Line in there, fluid goes in. This piece here, this round piece, is what's called your piston. And believe it or not, it's supposed to come out when you push your brake pedal down. This gap closes, your discs and your pads are in here, so it squeezes that tight from here. And pretty straightforward, you can see now, lines all come from there, run up to this thing, which is where you put your brake fluid. That is your brake master cylinder. That is exactly the similar principle, but in reverse. I'll show you how that works now, right? Right. Imagine, if you will, this syringe is my brake Imagine, if you will, this cylinder, imagine, if you will, right? This syringe is my brake master cylinder, connected by my brake line to my This is why you can't hear me, guys. Okay, third time lucky. Right, so back to brakes. Imagine, if you will, this syringe is my brake master cylinder. There's like, I don't know, imagine a lever here with your foot attached to the pedal. So as I push my pedal down, it squeezes this syringe. forces fluid down my brake line here into my brake caliper, right? Imagine this one is my brake caliper on the left side. You imagine it squeezing up. So if I depress one, the other one expands. And there you go, that's my brakes on fully. And then as I take my foot off the pedal, pulls the fluid back the other way. That is literally as simple as brakes are. That is what I was trying to get out of the car just now. A little pedal that, if you squeeze it now, oxygen has a little bit of compression into it. You're able to squeeze it, and that's what makes the pedal feel spongy. Absolute bottom line. Now, see, the colour of that gack that come out of it, it's not supposed to be cloudy, by the way, brake fluid. So God knows how long this has been in there. It's quite a high mileage truck. So what we're going to do now, we're going to stick the rubber back on here, give it a little clean up, put it back together, and we are done. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe, because if you keep subscribing, then I'll keep doing more videos and you get to learn stuff. So, hope you enjoyed my video. Hit subscribe. Nice one, guys. See you next time.